Let's see if this works. Okay, hopefully we are live now. Let me get my windows arranged here and I'll share my screen. Let's see, get some notes. Our chat. Okay, let's give this a try. Hopefully you guys are seeing my screen.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got the YouTube comments down here in the lower right. Help me keep an eye on that, and we will try to address those time permitting. Let me close some of this other stuff down. Goodness, I should have cleaned up all these windows before. Okay. Well, I think I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I'm hoping we'll have a couple more join. We have some updates in here from Bob. I'm hoping we'll get to hear from him, but let's go ahead and get started. I'm just curious, is one of you able to check easily the YouTube page just to make sure that we are in fact live streaming? Or if anybody's watching, you want to put a comment in there just to let us know that you're seeing us?
I can do that now. Hold on.
Great.
I was also going to mention that I did take a quick peek at the notes, and I can give, if we do have a little bit of space in the schedule today, I can give a little bit of a presentation on this YouTube live integration with documentation stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Let me just check here. I'm curious on the hub because I posted the link to this meeting, and I should be able to see right there if it's working. Yeah, it is. I just pulled it up, and it's. Yep. Okay. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and get going, and then we'll go through action items, and then, but yeah, we'll give some extra time to go through and show us what you've got on the docs, Ben. So, John, Ben, both of you guys taking notes, I assume.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No introductions. Okay. So action items. So Ben, let's set this one aside. I'll have you show us what you found for the documentation. So we'll come back to that in a moment. John, present e-NABLE ecosystem to new members. That's done. I should have removed that last time, I guess.
I'll do it. All right.
Yeah. Jeremy and Bob. Okay, so this is this sizing badge tutorial. I was hoping Bob was here because I wanted to talk about this, but I'm kind of starting to wonder if maybe oh, there's Bob. So let me pause until he's connected. Hey, Bob.
Sorry, I'm late.
No problem. Perfect timing. I was just getting to the action item about the sizing badge. And I was just going to say that I've been thinking about this because I'm holding things up because we're waiting on me to do this new tutorial for virtual fitting in Fusion, which I can do. It's a very time consuming thing. And I've been pretty buried lately. I'm wondering if we shouldn't just go ahead and get the sizing badge out there because you've already identified the test cases. We've got sets of sizing photos to use. We already have a virtual fitting methodology. It just happens to use Blender, but people are doing sizing now. So there's no reason we couldn't go ahead and get the sizing badge out there using the existing methods that we have, and then add other tutorials for Fusion and for Onshape and things like that as time permits, if you're okay with that.
We can do that.
Okay.
I'm fine with it. Absolutely.
All right. So then we'll work on getting the sizing badge rolled out using the sample cases, the photos that Bob already came up with. And we just have to pretty much come up with some language for, what we're looking for, what people should do and how they should submit their suggested sizing and all that kind of thing. So maybe we'll have a separate meeting about that. I'll have to reach out to Eric, and maybe me and Eric can just regroup and kind of talk about the details for the badge.
Sounds good.
Okay. John, figure out how to embed Lumio summary in the hub, and looks like you put some notes in here. Want to give us an update?
Really
Or is there an
nothing,
update?
nothing new.
Okay, just working on it.
Fair enough.
Okay. And then the last one is for me to post the note in the new member space about customizing notifications, which I did. Ben was going to go and make it better because it was pretty bland the way I did it. Did you have a chance to look at that, Ben?
I haven't.
No problem. In fact, we're going to talk about that because one of the topics down here that Bob brought, did you type these notes down here, Bob, or was that somebody else? About your visit with Dodora and the pet G for
I
Esteban's?
typed those
I'm
notes.
sorry, excuse me, I was handling something else. What
I'm
was
sorry,
the question?
who typed these notes?
I typed the notes based on Bob's report from last week.
Got it. Okay. So there are some notes down here that we'll talk about, which include customizing the notifications. And I had some suggestions there. So we'll come back to that one. But yeah, we might as well still go ahead and fix up this post too, just so we can let people know how to do that. All right. So we will have our next guest presentation might be next week, pending looking at what SAFE is able to come up with. Otherwise, June 25th, we'll have the Accessible Prosthetics Initiative joining us for a presentation. I do have our key metrics in here. I'm only providing kind of the high level summary here. We do have a whole bunch of other charts and graphs showing each of these things over time. I didn't want to overload us with all that stuff. I have them if anybody wants them, but as far as these weekly meetings, I'm just going to be sharing this kind of dashboard view here, just so you can see kind of our overall activity levels on the hub. You can see our average session duration. You can see how many active chapters we have. Down at the bottom, you can see all of our help desk activity, a number of badges being issued, things like that. It's just a kind of a general snapshot of activity. Okay, so discussion topics. Let me insert here, and we will start with, let me just copy it from up here, Docs, YouTube Live integration. We'll have you go first, Ben.
All right.
Did you want to, should I hand over screen sharing to you?
Sure, that'd be fine. And I'll just go through it quick, but it's basically seeing what you guys think. Is this a project that we want to explore for the community? And if it is, I can share it on the hub. It's something that I worked on 2 years ago with Rodrigo, who runs the Mexico City, one of the Mexico City chapters.
Sounds good. And by the way, welcome Ward and Alexander who have joined us here. Hello.
Oh.
All right. So the question is, here we have these weekly meetings along with other weekly meetings. We take videos, we have these side notes. Do we use Google Docs? Should we continue using the platform Workflowy? Or is there another method? So in 2019, over the summer, I worked on a project in Mexico City looking at how you can mine video captions for collaboration. And really the test case was e-NABLE. It's been collecting dust, but I figured I'd propose it because I think now that we're doing YouTube Live, it could be pretty interesting to return to this at some point. But the basic gist of it, and I'll just run through it quickly, is the having notes separated from videos. We end up with these long archives, which we currently have. They're disconnected at times, the PowerPoints and the videos. And it can be undefined to try to search through these videos in sort of a useful way. I think it's great to keep archives, but the longer that they get, the more it can be challenging to figure out how they're useful or continue to be searchable. And I know this is something that John's really familiar with from the beginning of e-NABLE. So we looked at creating a toolkit for utilizing metadata in videos. That's basically, if you think about YouTube, there's automatic captions that are part of our process. That's just the transcripts that are published with the videos. And with that,
if you don't mind me jumping in real quick there, Ben, I might need your help because I now know how to do the captions. Like when you just record a video or upload a video, it'll just process in the background and the captions will be ready after the fact. For the live videos, like what we're doing right now, I have captions turned on, but there's nothing. I just went and checked. There's nothing showing up on screen. So for some reason, the real-time captioning for live streams is not working, and that should be possible. So maybe you can help me figure that out.
Yeah, let's look at that together. I think that is a special option that organizations get access to if they have a certain number of
Right.
I don't know.
Which we do,
followers.
yeah.
Great.
So we'll look at that later. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. But basically, in a nutshell, a video is published. It has automatic captions, which, are even, let's say, 75% accurate. That's still pretty good. And they're editable, so you can go in later and you can fix it up if you want. But heads or tails, those captions, if you open up on YouTube, I forget, transcripts, I think it's called, you can actually click on the text and it goes to those different points in the video, which is really useful. So we were trying to figure out how could that be integrated in with notes. And we thought it would be useful for international NGOs like e-NABLE, but also online education and potentially like a political congress. So it's a bigger problem than just e-NABLE. But so we did some testing, trying to bring video in with the notes, similar to what we're doing here, but at the bottom have access to these interactive video captions. And then on the side, basically be pulling out specific information. So using an API, we had locations that we had pulled out on the side. So if somebody mentioned, I don't know, this was just a test case, but if somebody mentioned Mexico, that would be saved on the side, and that would be sort of a reference point that you could go back to. So this is a little video. I'll just share this link. We don't have to watch this now, but we did get it working. This is the technology that we use. I won't go through it all, but I'll share the link. But in a nutshell, we used IBM Natural Language Understanding, which is part of their Watson platform, along with Bootstrap and the YouTube API. And it's really helpful for accessibility. We had a bunch of ideas for future applications. So being able to map this stuff, not just collecting the, basically instances of a location that are pulled to the side, but you could potentially have to go right into a map. So you could navigate, imagine the CCC archive with a map, and you could click on different locations and it would let you know all the videos that referenced, France or Turkey. And also you could look at categories that way. You could have it cross-reference Google Docs, and then there's ways you could maybe do batching with an entire video library using these kinds of themes. So that was the project, and again, it was with Rodrigo, who's been involved with e-NABLE for a long time. I'm going to share the link. I was going to send this in an email, but why not do it here? That way it's more public, and I'm thinking potentially it could be something just to share with the community and say, hey, does anybody want to take on this project, and is this worthwhile for us to revisit?
I see your comment, John, and yes, I've used that with my sister who's hard of hearing. Google Meet does do real-time captions without any problem. It works very smoothly. I don't think Google Meet allows the live streaming that Zoom does. I'd have to look into that, but we'd then have to figure out that side of it if we wanted to go to Google Meet. Something to look into. I will check into that as see if that's an option, but I'm not aware of a live stream option there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me get my screen back up here. Okay, and gotta get my window out of the way. Okay, so let's see. Oh, nice. The delay is really so. Okay, Alexander is in the meeting now, so he's just testing the comments. Let me get back to my notes.
I guess just as a quick follow-up, we did get an award for that from Amazon in 2019. So if anybody has any questions about it, feel free to email me. I'll include my email in the chat. Jeremy, is the chat in Zoom go to YouTube, or should I post it right to the YouTube?
Post it in the YouTube comments.
Okay.
Yeah, the Zoom chat I don't think does.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear others' thoughts. I will say my impression is that it looks very, very cool. There's some very neat kind of things in there. It feels a little bit like overkill to me for what we're doing here. So my vote would be to kind of stick with what we're doing, but if others feel differently, I'm happy to explore alternatives. I just want something that's lightweight and easy to easy to use. So I'm happy to hear thoughts though. For now, I'm just gonna keep going what we have until we come up with something better. So the next note here is that we have a new space in the hub for bionic designs. It's sort of a repurposing of a space that was in there previously. And the important note here is that we have sort of a new leadership there. Vivek has offered to kind of step up and try to get more activity going in that space. And in fact, he's forming a work group with weekly meetings. So if anybody out there has any interest in the bionic side of things, anything involving motors and sensors, linear actuators and Arduino and all that cool stuff, this is the place to be. Check out the bionic design space. There's a link here in the notes. There's also a link to the weekly meetings. Check it out. It could be a lot of fun.
I was not able to attend, but I was interested. I gather none of our present company attended those past meetings.
I did not.
I
Anyone
usually
else?
do.
Oh, you do? Okay. And how's it going?
Right now, we're mostly focusing on figuring out the best approach to sensors and the easiest approach to making them cheap enough.
Great. So if anyone else out there is interested in that, jump in. And we have some updates here from Bob, I guess brought it in the notes, courtesy of John. Thank you. Bob, do you want to kind of talk us through these? Are you assuming you're seeing them? Oh, you're muted, Bob.
Jeremy, Bob, if I
Okay.
remember correctly,
Okay
Bob
now, right?
gave us the whole report of his trip to Dora last week, which is where I took these notes.
Oh, I thought these were new notes. I'm sorry. So did we already talked about because I thought we just got an email with photos of this week. I thought this was something new, the unlimited arm.
Well,
I'm
the
sorry,
unlimited
that is
arm,
outdated.
the unlimited arm is new. Let me just John's right. I provided the full report on the Dora physical meeting. Since then, Bob and I have exchanged a couple more emails. He wanted to see more of the process by which we assemble. So I made some videos myself of assembling Esteban's arm. I also used some of the ones on the hub, and I've sent him 3 or 4 videos. So, he's staying engaged. He and I are going through the process, and he seems very happy with what we do.
Very nice.
On Esteban's arm, it's done, and here it is. And it is absolutely massive for an unlimited arm. I have to.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me spotlight you for a second here.
Esteban's pretty fit, so he's I think
Depends on the big arm, it's true.
He's a
Yeah,
big
it's gonna be a big
guy.
arm.
The circumference of his bicep is 16 inches. I mean, it's big, but I about maxed out the customizer to make this, to print this. And I had to print, I showed Jeremy, it took the entire bed, 12-inch by 12-inch bed, to print the forearm. And there was no
Yeah,
way I
and it
was going to
just
use
barely
boiling
fit.
water because it's so thick. So I carefully used a heat gun, and I got it into this shape,
Yep.
Nice.
Very nice.
And I'm going to be mailing it today. I made a video of my assembly to send it to Bob Dannon at Dora, Bob and Jolie. But it is absolutely the largest prosthesis I've made, other than NIOP perhaps. And certainly the largest by far forearm I've made. So came out pretty well. And
Very nice.
I emailed Esteban and he seems interested to collaborate on a post. So I can include those videos that you made for a public post also after Esteban gets the device and maybe even brainstorms a little bit about how he can adapt it to his needs.
that's fine. My only fear, to be honest, is I printed this in PETG, clearly. But the various joints and everything are not, I mean, they're PETG, but if he's going to use this for lifting a lot of weight or wear and tear, it's ultimately going to come apart, I'm afraid. So we'll just have to see how it fares.
Yeah. PETG is
I
certainly
actually
not
used double rubber bands on the fingers because they're big enough to accommodate.
Yeah. Yeah. PETG is definitely not unbreakable. It's stronger for sure than PLA, but I was just doing some testing on the new hand that we're designing, and one of the pieces broke during testing. So it's still something that we need to be thinking about, how we design.
So the arm is
and then
getting shipped this afternoon.
And then there were some notes here about notifications that I wanted to touch on, because this is something we've been talking about. And there was a suggestion that maybe we include, when we get email notifications from the hub, maybe we can include in there, click here to tune your notifications. And I liked that idea. So I went and looked into it and found that, yes, we do indeed have a direct link that we can tie to for the notification configuration page, and another link to the page where you can configure your email summaries. So we could certainly link directly to both of those places if we have the ability to customize those emails that go out, which I assume we do, but I got to talk to Masvi about that. So we'll check with him in our next Tuesday meeting. And assuming we can do that, then yeah, we'll go ahead and include this as a little footer in all the emails that go out, so that everybody has it right there in the email. They can just click if they want to reduce the number of emails or notifications they're getting. So I thought that was a really good idea.
Good.
Great.
Okay. Moving on then, I put a note in here about CAD tools. We've had a number of different discussion threads going on this lately. Fusion 360, Alexander has offered to do a tutorial for beginners, and there's been some discussion in the hub, so I linked to that here about how we would approach that and what should be covered, and should we be doing parametric, etc. So I think that would be tremendously valuable. Anybody have thoughts on this? Or Alexander, do you have anything you'd like to discuss while we have the opportunity?
Parametric will take more time.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, it will take some time before the entire new designs are fully parametric.
Of course. But in terms of a tutorial, just showing people how to do things, it would be nice if we're showing them best practices. Now, Fusion 360 is quite a tool, as you know well, Alexander. I find it hard to believe that we're going to get a really useful tutorial done in an hour. I mean, I think this is more likely to be kind of a series, wouldn't you think?
As far as I've tried to map out the subject, yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be a bit on designing, a bit on Fusion 360, a bit on manufacturing as a general topic, and so on.
Yeah, I think that could be great. And it sounds like it could be applicable well beyond the specific, kinds of devices we're doing right now. So
hopefully.
Yeah, let's keep the discussion going on the hub. We'll get further input from people on what they'd like to see, but absolutely go for it. Just, schedule a date. I'm happy to help you if you need, get things set up. If you want to do the whole Zoom live streaming thing, whatever, just let me know how I can help.
I added a comment to the hub post about maybe if you wanted to do your presentation for the focus follow-up workshop, we have it scheduled already for June 25th at 1 p.m. We don't have a topic that we've picked, and it seems like there's a ton of interest in the workshop that you're talking about. So that could be something to consider if that's not too far away or too close.
Sorry, so on the 25th, it's a workshop date?
Yeah, the week after the new member meetup, we've sort of had an open space every month for a workshop on a topic that the community is interested in, that basically does a deeper dive into how to use different tools, or cover some information that a lot of people have asked about.
And that's a 1 hour session, so that could be a good opportunity to do the intro, sort of the beginner level intro overview, and then you could do follow-up sessions to go deeper into different areas.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. And that's about 2 weeks from now, right?
Yeah,
2
that's
weeks.
2 weeks
Perfect.
from now.
And
it could be. Oop, you first.
Sorry, 2 weeks and an hour and a half. It's 1 p.m.
Right.
EST.
Yeah, not this meeting. It's a later meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll let you handle that, Ben. You get that updated on the schedule and get the invite off to Alexander and all that.
Great, and we can do, decide how you want to do it. Do you want to do it through Zoom or YouTube Live? And if you have time to sort of schedule out a series, we could have that to share. And I don't know if that's going to be a part of the Bionic collaboration, or if you want to have a space specifically for.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
continuing that
Bionic.
discussion.
It's more general than the Bionic space, so it wouldn't go in there. I mean, it could be shared in there for sure, but it's not specific
Right.
to that.
But yeah, I don't know if we have a space for.
Yeah, do we have like a CAD space? I don't know if we do.
Didn't we
That's a
talk
good
about that
thought.
with Ward? Wasn't there a conversation about he was going to take over the
There was.
customizations.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
what it was? It was the customizations. You're right. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't know. Let's take a quick look and see if
Ward's in the
anything
call,
was-
I think.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, that's
back.
right. Hey, Ward.
Hey, I got, my boss called me. I had to drop off for a minute, but I'm back now.
No problem. We were just talking about that space we were discussing on the hub.
Yeah.
Enable device customization. So we're just thinking, does it make sense to have a space that's just all about CAD in general, as opposed to having it under device? Is device customization different than like a CAD space, or do those go together? I'm on the fence. I mean, I could see having a space just for CAD questions, how do you do so-and-so in Onshape or in Fusion or in Blend, or, that
Yeah, we
seems
can
like
do
it
that.
could be its own space, but I don't know. What do you think?
No, that wouldn't be bad at all. I mean, that's something we can add to it. I like to, I saw the AutoCAD 360 notice and everything. I'm wondering, I have no objection to it, I guess. I'd like to, what I would like to do is strongly push to picking Onshape as like the standard.
We're going to talk about that next. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm in favor of the idea of setting up a new space for CAD discussions. That would be a great place to put Alexander's tutorials. It'd be a great place to, talk about these different platforms. So maybe I'll go ahead and set something up, and I'll just make you a moderator of that space, Ward, and we can see how
Yeah,
that goes.
That'd be perfect. We could do that.
Okay. So then, yeah, let's talk Onshape a little bit, because this is, something that I had looked at a long time back and then moved away from it, but Ward brought it back to our attention, and it's really compelling. I agree. There's a lot that's worth sort of looking at as a tool for the community. It's completely free. The only limitation with the free version is that you can't save private designs. Anything you save is public, which for us seems like it's no big deal, right? I mean, everything we do is open source. So we have free access to a fully functional CAD platform that works across every platform. It's completely browser based, so you can use it on even a Chromebook, anything with a browser. But more interesting, it's got an app for iOS and I believe Android. So you can even use it like I use it on an iPad with an Apple Pencil, and it works great. It's a very powerful CAD tool. So the idea that you can work across all these platforms, that it's totally in the cloud, that it's free, it's very collaborative, you can share workspaces, you can work together on designs, you can comment on things. It's pretty compelling, so yeah.
I can, if you want, I'll throw up a demo. I got that arm in it. Hold on a minute.
If you can do it quickly, yeah, let's take a little time and do that. Let me stop my screen sharing here. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
What was the name of the software again?
Onshape.
Onshape. Yeah. Let me just see if I can figure out. Okay, here, share screen. Yeah.
And it's, what is it, Ward? Is it onshape.com? I can't remember what their site is.
Onshape. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, .com. Yeah. So I'm going to put that in as a comment here for people watching. There you go. That's what we're talking about. And let me stop
So it's
my
onshape.com.
screen share. Yep. And let me, okay, there we go. Now we're seeing your screen.
Everyone see the Onshape screen? I got it up, I think.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to sign in. She's taking her own sweet time. Okay.
Now, when you save a design, does it save in their special cloud-based repository, or does it save in, can you sort of export it to X, Y,
You can export, yeah, but you can export to wherever you want,
No,
but everything is saved in their cloud platform by default.
Okay.
It's very much
Here's-
like Google Docs.
Yeah. So this is like my front end. This is my stuff here. You can see some of the stuff I've been working on. But the little earth here means that it's open to public. It's a public document. And here's the, this is the e-NABLE one that we started. So let me open this one up.
And I have to say, what I'm finding attractive about this is, Fusion 360 is also kind of cloud-based, but it's hybrid. And it really brings your computer to its knees if you're working on heavy stuff. This is truly cloud-based. All the processing is happening in the cloud on the server, which means it doesn't bring your computer to its knees.
Yep. So here's the interesting thing is when you start a project, these are all the, you can create all the different parts down here. So you can see I got the pins and everything it works like a standard parametric CAD system, which is really nice. But here's like pin A. And then what I did is I created an assembly over here as a tab. And here's some of the parts I imported. So like this pin A, I only did the pin A once, and I just dragged in 4 copies of it.
Mhm.
And so it's nice. So if I go back and I modify like some of the geometry here, it'll modify all these will be updated.
And so once we have the full design in here, we have all the parts of the hand. I'm assuming you would do like 2 assemblies, one in like a fully assembled form, and then another that's in like the 3D printing orientation form with all the parts laid out, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing too is what's interesting. I believe there's a 3D printing plugin too that we can put into this. There's an app store right here if you look at that.
Yeah.
And I believe there's let me just take a quick look, see how quick it comes up.
Yeah, I never use those because I like doing my own slicing, but it's an option.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. I don't see it right off.
Yeah, they do have a lot of plugins. I noticed. I was looking through some of these because I was looking at what they have for CNC manufacturing, and they do actually have a plugin for that too.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's all there. But I don't see anything right off the bat here. You have file exports. So anyway, that's just that. I mean, I'm sure there's something in there somewhere we can use.
Check the file export real quick. I'm curious about what that gives you. So because I know we can export STLs and all that, but can we also export in some of the standard solid body formats like IGES or OBJ, things like that?
Well, let's take a quick look. Let me just open one. Let me open one of the pins. And so bear with me a minute. It's always
so the share button in the upper right, that would just share a link to the design, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Let me just check that.
Okay.
Yeah, so here's anyone with a link. So we got people who can view, and then we got people who can edit.
And you can say whether or not they can export and share. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really is just like Google Docs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. The other thing about that, I mean, going down that road, you could have 2 people working on this model at once. So while I'm modifying one area, like you'll see updates come in real time to.
Yeah, that's
else.
pretty neat.
Yeah, so you can have you can have 2 or 3 people working on a model at the same time. Actually, and you can see their changes as you're making changes too.
Yeah.
So it's all real. The big thing is, this is what I wanted to do. This is the version history folder over here. So what it's like the Git system. What I can do is I can break off and create subversions of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and branch off on version. Oh, hold on, I just lost it. There we go. Yeah, so you can create branches, and then later on, if it's an acceptable change, you can merge it back into the main document.
That is pretty fancy.
Yeah, I got a place for notes. Here's some of the stuff some of the problems I ran into. I kept notes on it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's
nice.
I aligned some of the slots and stuff. This one's been this part's been kind of interesting. I mean, that's the guard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the issue you're talking about there too with that little dimple that's come up before.
Yeah. Well, what I'm trying to work on this is a flattened version of it. I'm trying to work with the sheet metal editor to put a curve in it.
Yeah.
So that we can have the flat and the curve version both at the same time.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And then once I get the curve version, I can import it into the assembly, and we can do it a full assembly.
Let's check that the export option before we forget. Let's see what we can export.
Oh yeah, that's right. Export. Let's see what we got. I believe.
And is the goal to have all the e-NABLE open source devices existing in this platform? Is that what you're working on in Word, or?
Yeah,
well,
I would
that's a long way off, but yes, that would be a nice goal.
Got it.
Here's export. All right.
There we go.
Yeah, it's a good goal, and only because the option that.
There you go. Yeah, so and so yeah, it's doing solid body. Yeah, well, I'm sold. I mean, it has the
SolidWorks. It has a. This is interesting. It has a. Well, I know SolidWorks. The guy who created SolidWorks is the same guy who's running this now. He sold the rights to his SolidWorks company, and actually started Onshape. Yeah. So here's Rhino object. Here, here's an OBJ. and your STLs.
For some reason, we're not seeing the drop down, but it's good to hear that
Oh, no?
you have those
Oh, yeah.
formats. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So yeah, we can export these to whatever solid
Yeah.
body format we need. So
Yep,
it seems
there's
like a
the
great
SolidWorks.
solution.
Yeah. And then it stores it right into your Dropbox, it looks like.
Can
So
you,
that's a-
is there an option for Google as well?
Um,
Google Drive?
I don't see it. I see Dropbox. I'm wondering if you could, there's probably a way to link your Google Drive to it and
Okay,
export to
great.
it. Because I know I linked my Dropbox account to it.
Got it.
But that's
So I'll
just for
figure-
exporting. I mean, you can export the
Yeah.
file, your C drive and
Yeah.
then put it wherever you want. So
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
So
I
it's really,
take it there's a free version of this and then.
this
there's
is
premium
totally
version.
free. Yeah. No, the commercial
Mm.
version is the same functionality. The only difference is that you can save your designs privately once you pay, which
Yep.
we don't need.
the other interesting thing I was looking down here too is you can actually you can import PDFs and other documents down into this for historic,
For,
for
like,
any
reference?
purchase parts. Yeah, for reference. So if you have like if you purchase like a part, you can put the PDFs, the spec sheet down here of the part
Mhm.
that you're purchasing, or a website link. That way the whole project is laid out in front of you down at the vault.
Does Onshape do any kind of FEA that you're aware of, Ward?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of them in the App Store.
Really?
I'll go
Okay.
back to that. Yeah.
Something else that could be interesting. We're talking about finite element analysis, where you can actually evaluate, how a part is going to hold up under different types of stresses, given a certain material. Is it going to break? And that
Yep.
could be worth playing with too.
So here are some of them right here. I don't know if you can see I got the list.
Don't know if those are free, but
Some of them are. I mean, some of
Some
them
of
have
them,
like here's one
oh, there you
5
go. Up to 5 projects for
Yeah.
free. Yeah,
per
interesting.
month. Yeah, for free. Free for first 5.
I
Here's
assume
papers.
there's plenty of tutorials for this software.
For Onshape,
Yeah.
yes, they in fact themselves have a great tutorial library on their site. So you it's a whole series you kind of go through from start to finish, and they'll walk you through everything, starting with just the interface, and then going through all the different functions. It's a nice way to learn CAD.
Yeah. Here's one of the this is one of the finger joints I'm working on. Now I think part of it might be my issue because I've done mechanical engineering, but getting all those, I was looking at some of your parts, getting all those fancy curves and everything
Mhm.
put in, like those organic curves.
Mhm.
That's gonna be a little bit of a, it's gonna be troublesome for me. I can already tell. That's just me though. I have to figure out how to.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I've-
the thing. It shouldn't be you doing all of this anyway. So hopefully we'll get some other people to
Yeah.
jump in on this, and then we can start doing this more collaboratively. So that would be nice.
Here's
I wouldn't be
one of the two.
surprised if in fact the sculpt functionality of Fusion is a unique differentiating feature for Fusion.
Well, that's a good question, Ward. Do you know if there's any kind of sculpting or surface modeling capabilities in Onshape?
Yeah, there is. It's through the App Store. Let me
Okay.
just see what we got. I didn't have to do that because I was looking at that too. That was one of them.
Hmm.
Let's just see categories. I don't know why I can't get to the bottom here. CAD file X utilities. Yeah, there's one in here, and it also does it does a flattening. They're like one of the examples I found in here. They use like a bicycle seat. It has like that organic curve to it,
Okay.
and then you can do a
Maybe
flat-
try the search box up top. Just type in like surface or something like that. See what comes up.
Yeah, let me try that. Yeah, no.
Mhm.
Press sculpt.
Yeah.
Sculpt.
Sculpt.
There we go. Yeah. Nope.
With a T on the end.
Oh, did I misspell it?
Still no. So that's something to look into. That could be
All right.
a differentiator there. Let's do some digging to see what options are available for
Yeah.
sculpting and surface modeling and Onshape. That's something we definitely want to know about.
It might
I
be
saw it.
something that's in the platform without needing an app as well.
Could be. So let's look into that, and we'll report back in next week's meeting. How about that? Rather than trying to figure it out live here, we'll come back to this next week and report back.
Here's the one I was thinking of. That looks more like that's not much of a sculpted model though.
This is
Yeah,
no.
let me
This
see.
is more about this is taking 3D models and making them into 2D
Making them flat,
projections.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me keep looking.
Yeah, we'll look into it. We'll report back next week. For now, that gives our community an opportunity to go ahead and check out OnShape, see what you think, share your feedback. Let us know what you think, and then we'll revisit it next week and talk about sculpting or surface modeling options and go from there.
Your perspective will be very interesting if you get a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who you directed that to, John.
Alex?
Alexander, yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking if
I
there
mean,
are any major disadvantages to using this against Fusion. And
Well,
I didn't
that's-
quite catch that. Can you model in this space?
That's what we're looking at. Well, you can definitely model. I mean, everything that he's doing here is modeled in OnShape, but that's solid body modeling from primitives. Whether or not we can do organic kind of sculpting and surface modeling, that's what we have to look into, and we'll report back next week on that.
That's the one I have little experience with. I've never had to do like a like handles or anything like that. So.
Can you do something that's extremely complicated in this software?
Oh yeah, I haven't had any trouble. Some of the like you can look at the arm guard. I consider that like that's on the upper. That's got kind of a lot of.
I mean, they've shared some demo projects, Alexander, that are ridiculous, like full engines with all the internal components. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a fully powered CAD solution.
Yeah, and they got you can do movement, so you can set up like parts that rotate and slide against each other and do movement.
Yeah, I definitely need to check it out.
Yeah,
your input would be extremely valuable, Alexander.
Yeah. But the best part about it, nothing to install. It's all like right there for
Nothing
you.
to install at all. It's truly cloud-based.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so let's move on. Let me get my notes back up here.
All right.
So yeah, I definitely invite anyone watching to join us in this. Check out OnShape. It's free. Just go to onshape.com and sign up, play with it, and let's talk about it again next week. See what everyone thinks. Moving on.
Just one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Ward.
I did post the link in that the one the device customization. I did start a conversation and I did post that the OnShape link, so that
Excellent.
you can go and view it. So
that's
there
in the hub. Let me just put this link over here.
Yeah, there it is. Right there.
Device customization space in the hub.
And you can see the link at the bottom there. I just if you click on it, it'll take you to the OnShape site.
That one there. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Ward. We'll come back to that next week. All right. So next topic here is volunteers and chapters are finding the hub overwhelming and overly complex. So this is an ongoing topic of discussion. And I actually think, first of all, this ties in with the previous topic that we talked about of managing your notifications. So I think we can help a little bit by making it easier for people to get to those pages where you can fine tune your notifications. And so we'll follow up on that. But I also think that this is tied in with the subsequent topic that we have down here, which is concierge and mentorship services. That's why I put these next to each other on the agenda. I wanted to talk about whether that might, when we think about the complexity and how people get overwhelmed in the hub, obviously one way of dealing with that is cleaning things up, fixing the hub, making it easier to navigate, making it easier to find what you need. And we're working on that. But in the meantime, it seems to me that if we had people that were in this concierge role of kind of helping people find their way as they're getting onboarded, that may be a way of a kind of a workaround for the complexity of the hub until we can get it more where we want it. So I wanted to talk about that, these kind of together, if that might make sense as a way of, potentially addressing this in the short term. So thoughts on that? Ben?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it came up in previous discussions, the idea of using the hub sort of modeled after the original Google Plus community and trying to think about some of these key topic areas like introductions and education as having partner spaces, and then how we could sort of set up that to continue some of these conversations. I think it involves probably sitting down with Masby the next time we get an opportunity for that, and looking at how to best use spaces and topics. But if we can, if there's a way to do that, that would make a big difference, I think, in terms of the complexity. But it does have to sort of feed back into a central dashboard or some place to navigate. So. Anybody else?
Well,
Guys, I got to step away for 1 second, so please continue the discussion without me. I'll be right back.
you know, I do have the impression that if someone asks I'm confused, how do I solve this problem? Ben is often right there to answer the question. Other people are as well. And if it's related to Masvi's development work, he seems to be well plugged in. So in a sense, I think we may have the best kind of crowdsourced concierge right now, but obviously I think it does not address the feeling of the complexity of the environment.
There wasn't a concept that was shared last week or the week before about having sort of like a simplified
Yes.
dashboard and then having like advanced, like if you could toggle on and off, you could basically see here's all of the options for how to navigate, or if you're a beginner, you just boil it right down to just several things. That could be something again to look into. I keep on, as you can tell, going back to this idea of sort of development and modeling, the visual options. But yeah, we, just like what John said, I think having everybody in the forum for right now does seem like that's where people start out, and then more advanced topics do tend to grow into new spaces like the Bionics page. How to best use those spaces is another topic. Again, I mentioned the introductions. Maybe that belongs in that new member space and not in the main forum, sort of clogging up the feed twice a week. So
I do think it's a well-defined and worthy goal to think about what a newbie environment would look like and how we could put it in place while leaving the full functionality available to those who want to use it. I suspect that Masvi is going to be a key player there, and he's been scarce lately. So that's a challenge. I think it's important. I'm also conscious of the fact that we already have a big development plan that Masvi's been involved in, and maybe this means reprioritizing it, or maybe not. But I feel that we sort of have a Masvi hub bottleneck right now.
Well, I want to remind us that we do have sitting there unused right now a dashboard that Isabella put together that we could pretty easily kind of pull from and maybe move that into our new member space and do some tweaking on it. But I think we could use that to pretty easily build the dashboard, maybe both dashboards that we're talking about. I don't know, but just a thought of using that as a starting point.
I guess I have a question about this. This is based, if I remember correctly, this is based on Isabella's great work.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed it is. She interviewed, was it 20 people, X number of people, and got this feedback, I believe. And that's very worthy. It's not clear in my mind yet where the problem exactly resides, or maybe it resides in a number of places. Is this somebody for the first time coming to the hub, a newbie? Is this an experienced person who just doesn't have the time to and finds the hub intimidating? Before we rush to a solution, I guess the question is, where is the problem and what is the magnitude of the problem? What are we trying to solve?
I can tell you.
Well,
I can tell you how my experience went.
Go ahead, Ward.
Like you said, when you first log in, everything is broken down into spaces. So once I started poking around, I found all the spaces I wanted to apply to, and then I got that set up. But it's a matter of, I don't know. I didn't really find it that difficult. I mean, it looks like when you first log in, it does look a little overwhelming with all the tabs you have up top. You got forum, chapters, devices, all that. But once I started getting used to it and poking around, I found it very organized, I thought.
No, I wonder, that's a good point, Ward, about the tabs on the top. I know, like,
Yeah.
if you go to the chapters tab, no, that's not it. If there's some ways that there can be pages that don't have all of the,
Right, those are the custom pages, like
Right.
chapters. So yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have any of the other sidebar content. It's just an HTML page. There are some of those.
right,
What do
and
we-
now you still do have all the top menu items, so forum, chapters, devices, badges. But I do wonder, maybe there's a way to, using a custom page, have the new member space sort of exist in a more streamlined way. I did just check, and there's people that do post in the new member space, and they don't get as much attention because it's, the forum sort of has got most of the momentum, but that might be a way to do it. We might be able to set up this information, this sort of model that Isabella came up with. If we can do a new member space that has just the prioritized info, and then maybe even try to simplify all these top menu items. And then sort of have like an advanced drop down or something.
Yeah, because you've already got a pin post there, and I don't think we need all of this, but she's got it broken down by like this first one here, information everybody needs. Start here, how to use the hub, enable governance, legal and funding, Web Central Lumio. Now we might want to change those topics. Some of that might need to be adjusted, but just the idea of here are the essentials that you need to get started, making it front and center might be good. Just working that right into the top of the new member space.
I did want to mention that, so first of all, I do think that and I've been working on doing this, but we do need to actually deploy a version of the system Isabella has prototyped. Now we're going to have a Brandeis intern in the fall, in all probability, one of whose specific missions is to do that, to deploy and maintain the system that Isabella has started. However, I did want to float one other scenario, which is I could imagine basically a curriculum, a series of exercises, perhaps each with a badge that walks people through first steps, second steps, and so on, right? So the first thing is to introduce yourself. Congratulations, you've introduced yourself. The next thing is to explore spaces and pick two that you're interested in. And
I think you're right, John, because right now, if we just look at what we're giving people, our main resource right now is how to get started as an e-NABLE volunteer. And it's a long wiki with a lot of text.
that's right.
So you're right. I think if we translated this into something more visual, step-by-step, like almost like an instructable,
That's right.
that would be good.
With incremental achievements, so
That's
that
right.
you could take a step, and for that matter, we could then track progress.
That's right.
If we could identify a recommended path.
Yeah, I mean, that could even be a category of badges. There could be a badge for step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And once you've completed X number of steps, you get a badge for having completed the onboarding process, whatever that might be. But we could pull it together that way. So that's definitely a good approach. There's a lot of work involved in building that out. And that's where we would need help. I'm not in a position to do that. So I love the idea. I'm not quite sure how to execute on it.
And this is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm just curious. This is probably going to be more directed to Masby, but I wonder if there's a way. So we have it set up where if you get, there's badges that are automatically
That's right.
sort of distributed. So if you get your Phoenix Hand badge, you automatically get just the general badge that's, finished a device. And that is how he does his sort of searching on who has credentials and who doesn't. I wonder if certain badges could come with space membership. And
well, part of it could be space membership. That's a good idea. But some of the other things, if you look through the getting started guide here, we could automate some of these, like familiarize yourself with a code of conduct. We already have a form that we ask them to fill out to indicate their acceptance. So we could probably tie into that to say, as soon as they submit this form, we issue this badge. Introducing yourself in, as a new member, that could be something that we check for automatically and issue a badge. Some of these are a little harder, like familiarizing yourself with current designs. But in other words, we can automate as many of them as possible so that when they do that step, they automatically get that badge.
Can I just provide a contrarian warning? And
Yes.
This is personal. I just,
Somebody's got to do it.
I want to be careful we don't cheapen our badging system by issuing a
true.
badge for everything.
That's true.
Pretty soon you'll have a badge for making your own breakfast. And I just, for reading
No, I hear you, Bob. And you don't need, what we can, what you're making me think of is we don't need a badge for each of the step if we have a way of tracking that. So as long as the system can track that somehow that step 1 has been done, step 2 has been done, step 3 has been done, we could just issue one badge when the whole process is complete. You have successfully completed the entire, onboarding process. But we'd have to figure out how to track behind the scenes whether or not each of the steps leading up to that are being completed without issuing a badge for each step.
That's just my overall concern.
No, you're right. You're right. We should avoid having, a dozen badges tied to onboarding if we can.
Yeah, John's example of the curriculum, it's a little bit nonlinear. I mean, he says pick 2. We do want to think about a way of participating, especially early on, that can be multiple ways to go. And that was one of the things looking at Isabella's guide. I think it's great to have it sort of a linear path, but there's a lot of different learning styles. And I do think you're going to have people that when they get in, they're going to want to start with the most advanced thing because that's
well, not only that, this whole guide here about getting started as a volunteer is for one path. That's getting started as a maker. But like Ben says, there's, some people don't want to be a maker. They might want to be organizing events or helping, with documentation or who knows what. So yeah, we need to think about, facilitating the onboard process regardless of what somebody is looking to do.
John raised his hand, but, just to add to what he said before, I do think, badges could be that sort of magical way of giving people a lot of different options, but it would be how do you sort of onboard people in different directions with the badges? And I do think that even just using what we already have could be something to tie together.
I agree with what Bob said. We need to stay cognizant of the fact that our badges need to be meaningful. We should think about each badge and whether it really carries some weight and not just issue badges because of frivolous little things. John, you're muted, John.
Yeah, I'm mute.
I'm using a borrowed laptop. Everything is just to share a way of thinking about this. It's not necessarily possible, but one can imagine a branching structure that starts with step 1 and then branches out in various directions. So just imagine that tree, and then people are welcome. They're going to start at the trunk and they're going to move out to various branches. If we had a way of letting them leave their traces on those branches, we'd see what people are doing. They would be able to show their progress and so on. That's not necessarily badges, just a way of tracking their progress within a mapped, progressively complex path. Now, it's not clear that the hub is conducive to that, but I suspect it is. But we should perhaps think about that. Think about how to just architect pathways, which can be branching and can be overlapping, but become a map that people can use to progress, not just to find where they are, not just to.
Exactly.
So basically treating it like a grinding video game. Because you want to grind away,
I mean,
things.
A lot of what we talk about is essentially gamification for the community. Yes, it's encouraging behaviors and encouraging progress, and yeah, it is much like that.
Right. So I guess the point is, Isabella has here what, 15 cells. Well, 15 is a lot to start out with. But if it was 1 and then 3, and each of those 3 led you to 1 or 2 or 3 more, it would suddenly become navigable and potentially trackable. So that's something to look at.
Mhm. So one possibility would be for somebody to look at what she's built here, look at all these different sort of categories that she has, and look at trying to map that into a kind of a workflow diagram and look at which one would link to which. And then we could, from that diagram, we could try to reorganize these pages and put them into that format. That's one possibility.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to solve it today, but we are at the top of the hour. We should wrap up. I want to continue that topic of discussion going. It's something that, you know, is going to take time to figure out, but you know, let's just keep exploring ideas for now. Let's see, that was onboarding. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap. Does anybody else have anything that you would like to bring up for discussion before we close this week?
You have a, sorry, I don't have it in my head, but you have a 3D Universe untethered presentation about the Buffalo e-NABLE mask project coming up soonish, right?
We do, July 1st, which is a Thursday. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Central Time. So unfortunately, folks in Europe won't be able to see it live, but there will be a recording, of course. So yeah, it'll be a 1-hour session where we get together with some of the folks from our BE Mask team and talk about the work we've been doing over the last year plus and why we've been doing it and where we're at. And so it should be a good episode. 3duniverseuntethered.com has the details. Thank you, John. All right, anybody else? All right, hopefully, I think the live stream worked a little better this week, so we'll keep going like this. Hope to see more people joining us in the weeks to come. See you next time, everyone.
Have a great week, everybody.